Eat over here food.
Huh?
Bring food here.
What you say?
They quit bringing some food over here.
Oh, Joseph don't bring anything anymore? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Some people got it.
I thought he did. Hey, Justin. Justin?
Hey, it's coming back up and started?
16:35. Yes, it did.
Okay, so everything's good.
Yes. I guess I can turn the camera and stuff off,
Yeah,
right?
I would, yeah, because I can see you if I'm on YouTube right now. So turn the cameras and the speakers.
All right, 5:35, let's go ahead and get the drainage committee meeting started. Huh? I'm sorry, 4:35. Let the record reflect that all members are present. Item number 1, discuss repairs to drainage pumps purchased with hazardous mitigation funds.
Right, so gentlemen, as I stated last time, I would try to get you, generate some type of cost estimate on what the possibility of repairing all these pumps were. This whole process started in 2016, but Associated Pumps had only quoted the top half. So I gave them a very, very deep description of what the repairs may entail. And on the last page, number 4, you can see that it included all 22 pumps and it came back at $225,000 possibly. I had them also put in some gearhead repairs because there will be some accidental repairs associated with it. If we were to try to replace these units, eventually we'd be looking at about $500,000. I can't give you an exact number, but it would be very close to it. We would make repairs as necessary to each one, but right now we have probably 12 out of the 22 that need immediate repair. And they're just gonna continue to break, and they're only looking at maybe 6-7 years. As far as I was told, the company FPI actually went out of business. They're no longer in business. They were purchased by another agent or vendor. So I think it's up to us to make some repairs or replace them.
So the 10 is working, they're working pretty good right now?
Yes, sir, somewhat, but they have shaft misalignment problems and it may not be as severe as the other one. I know I measured one previously, we were well over an inch from center to center, so it was way out of line.
Now, what about the running time? You know, like we got one of the gas pumps, it might run it 3 hours a year.
And actually,
Unless you
the
get a
pump on
hurricane.
Elaine Street was the only pump that was pulled out of the system in 2017 and sent to Florida to get repaired. It came back and is right now rusting on the top half because the repair did not hold, because the pumps are so thin. They're about 1/8 in material, it's very, very thin. So the longer the shaft line, the more fatigue it's gonna have, and they're gonna fail. So it's just an item to look at, and I told you guys I would come back with some type of estimate for the next meeting, so I provided it for you. And you can look over it, and we can discuss it the next meeting.
You know, we did it with 22 pumps.
22 pumps, yes,
You know, years ago, we never expected we'd be sitting down and looking at this,
right.
but for 12 pumps, that's inoperable.
Well, Mr. Irvin has a pump that came off of Muir Street, it's 29 years old. You just come out of service.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't even be having this conversation.
That's correct, sir.
Can't help a company going out of business, but at least the product could have been better.
Product could have been more trustworthy. But I wanted you guys to look over it and let me know what you think about it in a little time.
Ryan, who installed these pumps back then?
RES. And initially we had to I caught that some gearheads were in the wrong locations, the pumps were set wrong.
Did we have anyone that went out and inspect these jobs after?
Not that I know of that we had any type of quality control agents at the time.
That was through
Southwest.
Yes. It was through the engineering
We
firm.
were given the keys after everything was turned
Correct.
over.
Mr. Boudreau provided the keys for us after everything was at
I
completion.
guess that was hazard mitigation, right?
Yep, that's what it was.
Same thing as with the generators.
Let him get here. Ask him a couple questions. You doing, Joseph? Ron, you want to give Joseph just a little brief?
We're
update?
talking about the 22 pumps
Okay.
that were funded by hazardous mitigation and the extensive amount of repairs that we're gonna have to do to these pumps and how long this has been going, because it was reported in 2016 into 17 that we had these failures. We were supposed to have some representatives come on site, but it didn't happen. Associated Pumps came out and gave an estimate, but only the top half of the estimate. So at that time, it was 90,000. Now we're looking at more extensive repairs for these pumps. So they came back with a figure of about 255,000.
So at the time these pumps was installed, You was the quality control on this job,
That's
correct?
correct.
Mr. Blankenship just advises that there was gearheads put in the wrong locations on some of these pumps. Are you aware of that?
Yes,
Did y'all correct it?
we sent letters to the pump manufacturer as well as and we also contacted the district attorney's office because there was some misappropriation with that project. And at that time, that's when we got Associated Pump involved and asked them to come out and give us the estimate. That estimate was presented to the jury. And at that time, as I understand it, the jury at that time basically chose not to pursue legal action against the company because they were defunct. And again, I'm going off of memory here, but it was basically with the company being defunct, trying to track them down in discussions with the district attorney's office. It was going to cost more in legal fees and trying to go after that than it was for the $90,000 or so at the time to repair the pumps.
So it was the wrong gearheads that was shipped to us, or the gearheads was put on the wrong pump by the contract?
Gearhead was put in the wrong position, in the wrong pump.
Contracted?
Yes, but the contractor due to the ratio of the gearhead versus the shaft length and the ability of the pump.
So just a question, before you signed off on it or approved this job, shouldn't it been changed out?
Yes, it should.
Why weren't they?
That's why we're having the discussion, because it was sent this way from the manufacturer, and this was the manufacturer at the time was recommending that particular gearhead. It wasn't until later when we started looking into them that we realized, as Mr. Blankenship is saying, that the wrong gearheads were put in the wrong
They
place.
worked good for a while.
Yeah, they were running fine.
Well, they had very small amount of runtime, so I called RES and notified them, emailed them, and they came out later on and swapped them out. And there was 6 of them that were in the wrong location, so that'd be a total of 12 technically, because you.
So they did take care of it?
Yes, it was taken care of at that time, yes. We just have to look at, what you guys want to do. We can look at replacing a few of them at a time, or we can possibly repair a few at a time. But we're still gonna be in the same scenario with a thin pump, in my opinion, is unreliable.
Well, you're way out the cost, repair versus replace.
Right. And it varies. So right now, say, if you look at it, an 8-inch, 6-foot pump on bid is $16,333. Pretty close to that. So it'd be quite a substantial cost to go through it and just replace them. But if it's, 500,000 to replace all of them versus 300,000, and then you get 30 years out of it instead of 6, and you gotta repair it again. So
Ron, the last pump you brought to get it refurbished, how much did it cost?
I did it with the local machine shop, and we didn't repair the pump side. We actually shimmed the gearhead itself to take up the difference to level it. We didn't cut the plate off the top, and it was close to about $3,000. So it's gonna be a substantial difference, because you do have some gearheads right now that, because the shaft misalignment was over 1 inch, the internal standpipe in the gearhead is busted, so the oil is leaking out the bottom of it. Davis North Bay is one of them. Mr. Don Rose pump's one of them. The actual bottom base of the gearhead fell out because it got so hot. It just fell right out, all the old dump out. We made a temporary repair to get it because of the flood that was going on, but it's not an appropriate fix for long-term or longevity.
Yes, just for the future, whenever we go to install these pumps, if something is not aligned correctly, we need to stop right then and there and get back with.
Well, like I said, like Mr.
Still in business at that time.
And we did not get the quality control side of it.
No, we didn't.
That was completely done. The keys were handed to us and said the pumps were operational. And then we caught the mistake with the gearheads when I started surveying. I actually walked it with the previous guy, Kevin, that was involved with the project. And then him and RES came out, and that's when we had swapped it. So we do need some type of quality control if we get in these grant processes where we purchase large amounts of equipment.
You need to find the money.
The bond money. That's what y'all want to use your bond money for.
How about we do? You see, we got some money coming for be coming.
I can't tell you how much and I can't tell you when.
Hazardous
Storm-
mitigation you have to
storm.
apply for.
Well, hazard mitigation, but they were talking in a meeting earlier today that there would be some money coming down from the state legislature for Hurricane Ida. But there again, I don't know when and I don't know how much. So I'd be leery of saying anything right now until we see something in writing.
I could be wrong, but there was some emails that came down of assumption was awarded a little over $4 million from Ida.
Now, there again, I'm talking stuff that's not from the federal government. I'm talking from the state
From the
legislature.
state, yep. The governor-
I suggest let's get a letter to Chad Brown. Asking him, what's the status on hazardous mitigation grant. We got a viable project in the Fairport Del River community. Based on the pumps. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, and those pumps was from,
They're already funded there,
hazardous
so they may
mitigation.
not fund additional. Because typically when you get federal grant funds, it's our responsibility to maintain them, but not with additional federal grant funds.
Well,
Just putting it out.
I get that, but part of it is we got a company that sold us an inferior product that's broken and they out of business, so it's not our fault, all the way our fault. Our cost doesn't ask.
I think what happened,
You may be
the
able to make
the
that
original
case.
company, they sold out to another company, and that company
It got
bankrupt.
sold, it got sold 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
over. And
And then the last one got
basically what
bankrupt.
happened, basically when we did we investigated it and tracked it down. And basically what was happening is they were basically robbing Peter to pay Paul as a matter of terms. One company bought out the other one and they got bought out again, and they were just basically stripping everything out of it. And they were shipping everything out of the plant with no quality control from the manufacturer side. Is what happened.
I think we need to do what Jeff recommended.
Well, the only concern about that, he's a state legislator. Hazardous mitigation is federal money.
Talking apples and oranges.
It's not the same. State has no control over federal.
Well, I sent Caleb. Another Caleb, so we can find out. We got to send it right now.
State Senate.
Get a bond, Peter.
State.
Well, we get them, they guys.
Yeah.
You know.
So the other board, let's see what happens.
Mr. Thomas, with your hazardous mitigation, do you have the information for new applications for that?
I can make some phone calls tomorrow on that. That's not a
Because I know
problem.
we already got the email saying that the money's assigned to
Right,
assumption.
right.
We just have to apply.
We have to
So I mean, I think
apply.
that's a valid question to see if we
Yeah.
can make an application for
And I'll
repair
call-
/ replacement of
Yeah,
previous.
and I'll call Ghost up in the morning and follow up on that.
Yeah,
That's
let's
not a
start
problem.
with that
That's
first
what-
before we get state.
I need to talk to Ashley Gibbons.
And I'll send him, we'd done an extensive report. I can send that report to him. That may help with the hazard mitigation side, seeing as how we were basically caught between a company that had gotten sold multiple times over and in the process of providing the pump.
And I'll give you an example. If you look at line item number 1 on the 10-inch FPR line shaft pumps, Davis North Bay Road, we actually removed that gearbox, repaired it, put it back in place, and currently right now it's leaking oil again because it busted the standpipe once again because it's missed the line so badly.
So these 22 pumps, how many are okay? I see 2 on the list. Is that right?
There's 2 on this list. Right now, there's probably 12 for sure that needs repair, and the others they're showing the necessity to have repairs, but not at this immediate time.
And the figure that you quoted, $500,000 to replace, is that to replace 22 pumps?
That's 22 pumps. Half replacement would be about $500,000 of all 22 pumps,
Yeah,
possibly.
I'm not in favor of fixing these limits. They're not,
I think we're gonna
You're not gonna
continuously
make it
dump
better.
money into something that's gonna be an
You're
issue.
gonna have to replace sooner or later.
Now, depending on how your projects go, Jamie, or anybody else's projects with pulling some pumps out, we may be able to try to refer some of them to help alleviate some of it, but as in Mr. Como's situation, the pump was 29 years old, 29 years of service. We didn't have a problem. You know,
That's when they made good stuff.
that's when they built them. So I agree with you. We're gonna continuously have issues.
And so with our delegation, let's find
See
some.
what happens.
Can you prepare us a better estimate to replace these for these different sizes? I
Yeah.
think you only have the
Well, I
one.
just went to get the
one
repair
bid.
costs as I said I would, and I'll do that. I'll get a better estimate as per pump. And then I'll have that in the next meeting.
And whenever we talk, it's making sure that the engines and the pumps are
That's correct.
both operational.
Right. We know we have a bad engine at Pure Park Settlement, but we also intended on building another deck and replacing that engine, because if the pump goes larger, the engine also has to go larger.
I think what you need to do too is itemize the worst first, you know. And if we decide we're gonna do X amount of pumps, we know we're gonna be doing the worst ones first.
Okay. All right. I can give you the most critical areas.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, while we're on drainage, but ring ladders, anything on permits? Those,
You file for the permits? The ring light?
Has not been opened yet. We did all the drawings for the last meeting we had with Brent, right before Mardi Gras. And he was making those changes, because I think there was some pins dropped on the wrong side of the road, a couple of things. So he's revising those. He should be finished by the end of this week and it'll be uploaded.
We're gonna go off the permit.
When it's uploaded, that is permanent. That's what, in other words, he's making the adjustments to those drawings and details per your last meeting. That's what he reported to me actually today. So as soon as he has those drawings finished, we'll upload it and permit, that's the end of the permit process. In other words, we've already filled out the
this is what
application.
should be done a year ago. Waiting on permits. He's sending out now.
All right, so Brian, you're gonna get us a better cost estimate on these. pumps.
Well, I'm gonna get you a cost estimate on replacement. Per pump. And it's gonna have to be apples to apples, because the pumping capabilities will vary depending on which impellers that FPI provided versus.
Anything else?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Como.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blanchard. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Leroy.
We'll get the finance committee meeting underway. It's 4:54. First item, request approval to pay bills submitted through February 17th. They're all in your packet.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review budget comparison statements for major funds for January 2023.
The reports that are in your packet for your review. No recommended proposals at this time.
Motion by Mr. Pineville.
Second.
That was Carter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. Second by Mr. Narcan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval to authorize the council on agent to accept the highest bidder for vehicles that have exceeded their life expectancy.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Narcan,
Second.
second by Mr. Thurn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval to add supplemental pay for ADA LAB Talbot in replacement of Morgan Sabar Gravois resignation effective February 23rd, 2023. Motion by Mr. Carter,
Second.
second by Mr. Narcan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discuss fuel surcharge adjustment with Waste Depot.
Yes, y'all asked me to do a little bit more research on this. I have been communicating back and forth with Mr. Boudreau, and you all have been included on most of that correspondence. Just not sure how y'all want to proceed at this point. He is saying he's using a fuel baseline I'm sorry, let me look. At first, he did an average of the entire year of 2021. I felt that an average of 2021 was irrelevant. Our contract didn't go into effect until June 2021. So I thought using the fuel price that he paid, provided by an invoice at June of 2021, should have been our baseline. Again, you know, that's my position on evaluating this. He sees it differently, so it's coming before you all now. So my calculation came out to not very much less. Using the June 2021 rate of 2.49, an average of 6 miles per gallon, which is what he identified, and then the average diesel price for January was 4.267, and I calculated 0.3. He now is calculating it as 0.32. So it's very insignificant as far as the difference, but.
Right. Well, it's the difference between the January and the June. You would say? On the 5 months. 6 months. 2.2.
Yeah, it could be that.
All right, so I recommend a 0.31.
Before y'all do anything, just take a look at the invoices that the company sent out. Look at the description. It's going off totally different.
It's all from
Price.
these, right?
Sammy, what are you finding out?
Read the description. First line. It's going on a totally different price. It's not a true price to go off of.
Give it 2.4.
It's off-road diesel, so it's not taxable diesel. It's supposed to be on the high. According to these invoices.
I'm not on the committee, but I would suggest tabling it to do a little more research on it.
But we're different there with me. 249. Yeah.
I looked at just the unit price and the dates. That Jamie brought to my attention about the off-road diesel, but I don't, honestly, I don't know the difference between different diesels and diesel rates.
The other diesel would be higher, correct?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
They would drop it. They dropped it.
if it's based on 249, let's use 249. If the regular diesel, how much? $1?
He's showing a base rate of 3.04. He's using a base rate of 3.04. And I can't, that's what he's taking the average, and what I tried to tell him is like that average is the entire year of 2021.
My recommendation would be the 0.31. Make a motion.
I think we need to make sure that this is based on the correct diesel. We can't, I mean, we can't be using off-road diesel.
We ain't gonna-
We're not using anything.
No, but we're using it in the calculation. He's using the off-road diesel as his baseline and the on-road diesel as the number the current average that he's comparing to. So I think we need to table this and request him to compare apples to apples and give us a baseline of on-road diesel to the current average of on-road diesel.
And I've requested that he come to a meeting. He's not interested. It appears.
But just table it then.
All right, you take it.
Table. He comes to the table.
And I'm just still holding the invoice till y'all make some determination.
Item number 5 is tabled. Number 6, request approval to renew contract with Direct Parts and Service for APCC chiller maintenance.
Yeah, we're gonna table this item due to some insurance.
Item 6 is tabled. Item 7, discuss the match funds for the water sector grant.
Good afternoon. At the last meeting, Ms. Kim requested that I discuss the match for the water sector program. And I was able, on the water sector program website, I was able to find the information we needed. There was some worry that we couldn't use the American Recovery Act funds as our match, but I was able to find on the website that we are. It clearly says yes. So,
Copy of what you're looking
yes, ma'am, I can send everyone a copy.
See,
at. Can you read what it says? Because you told me when you spoke to someone on the phone, they said, oh yeah, you can, but we won't put that in writing.
Well, this is on their website and it says, can local governments use American Recovery Act fiscal recovery funds to fund their 25% match? And it says yes.
and that's the water sector.
And
Right.
includes
It's
what
on the water sector website.
And did the American Recovery Funds say that we can use that from both agencies, both sides?
I only have the water sector program currently.
But we need a cross.
It's got to be from both agencies.
Yes, sir.
So originally, the State Water Sector Commission said that you couldn't use the money. They're the ones that said they wouldn't put it in writing. But during the application process, we had to provide documentation to them of how we were going to fund the match. We told them we were using the Recovery Act funds for the match.
Water sector said, y'all told water sector.
That's correct. The water sector is funding their grants from the same Recovery Act. It's just the state's portion of it. So it's the same program coming from the feds. We're just putting the two monies together to apply locally.
I know, but we only got approval from one side. So American Recovery has to say, yes, you can use our money to fund this federal grant. Water sector may say, you can come up with whatever money you want to use to fund our grant. We're fine with that. But we got to look at the funding source, where it's coming from, to make sure they're okay with us using that funding as well,
So
both sides.
who do we get that approval from?
The American Recovery Act. You have to find out some contact person.
I'll ask Representative Graves to help us with that.
Yeah, because they didn't give very much guidance on those funds. It came to us saying sewer,
Oh, and
sewer improvements.
infrastructure,
Yes,
and from
infrastructure, right.
my recollection for it, it was told, you were told to be considered as local dollars. But if we have to report back, we have to figure out who we have to report back to. So I'll follow up with Representative Graves to get clarification on that. No action. Number 7. Number 8, request approval to modify allocations regarding GOMESA funds. So we need to visit on the GOMESA bond funds. We have 3 items that are basically grouped together. It would be assumption pumps and drainage project match, which is $125, and an additional assumption pumps and drainage project match was $41,667. Those 2 were to match the capital outlay funds that were received. I think that was a total of $667.
66, yeah.
Yeah, 666, 667. Then under ring levy system plus Ward 789, we had 1.7 million allocation to it. So that puts us at, well, essentially, what we have to do is we have to split these projects. Under a single GOMESA allocation, we can't split the projects. We can't go out for RFQ for some and not for others. So we approved last meeting to go out RFQ for the levy improvement projects, but right now they're still tied to the ring levy systems. So we need to separate these 2 projects and see how we want to allocate these GOMESA funds between those 2 separate projects. Now, Jamie, I know you sent me a list of the levies that were included In that, some were raising existing levees, some are relocation of platforms and pumps. We just need to know how we want to split it up because we're going to go off RFQ for the levee improvement work. But for the ring levees, that engineering is already being done.
Correct. So
Before you go on that, we talked about this before. Can we not go out for RFQs for the money in total, just as we did for the $22 million that we previously had? We shouldn't be splitting up projects and bidding it out individually.
It's already been split up.
But it shouldn't be. We talked about that a while back.
But the projects are different types of engineering firms. It shouldn't all be one engineering firm for the different types of projects. It can't be the same contract. If we do it under one project.
Well, I understand that, but wouldn't that one engineering firm possibly have to have a sub under them to handle a scope that maybe they couldn't handle?
Under an RFQ process, you have the right to select multiple firms as well. You don't have to just go with one. You can say, hey, we want, I'm gonna use them as an example, but we want GIS engineering for this set of projects. We want T. Baker Smith for this set of projects, and so forth and so on. Under one RFQ, you have the right to select multiple firms.
The problem that we're going to run into, and I believe the estimate to do all of these projects is going to far exceed what's been allocated through GOMESA.
Right.
If we leave them lumped up as one, we'll never go out for bid. We have to be able to split the projects into bite-sized pieces that we can go out for bid to spend the funds that we have.
the scope of work is different. It won't be.
But we went out individually. I'm just referencing back to the 22 million we had previously for one storm. I think it was Gustav. We went out individually for a project, but we're just talking about design and engineering at this point. Correct? Am I correct? That's what we're looking to RFQ for that. Each individual scope of the project was bid out individually.
I was advised that right now, the way that it is under the GOMESA funds, that we cannot go out for bid for just the levee improvements because it's lumped in with the ring levees. We can't break it up. That's what
One project.
Melissa told us, that we can't break it up to bid it out.
Correct.
I know, but that's what you're trying to do.
Well, we have to separate it as projects and allocation. She said, since it was a single allocation, we can't break it up to go.
We talking about scope right now, or are we talking about design and engineering?
It's both. Because some of the engineering has already been funded and completed.
On local money.
Yes.
With local money.
What's the recommendation?
Well, I know Mr. Savoy just handed us this estimate.
And I know look, it's a work in progress, and I realize, I've been working the past couple of days on basically doing just that. I've been examining what project scopes that we had and what, I spoke to Ms. Torres today, and she provided me with some budgetary information as to how you all had it broken up. What I'm trying to do is provide some organization to all of the projects that are out there. And by that, I mean, whether a project is funded by GOMESA construction funds or GOMESA bond funds, or whether it's being funded by capital outlay or a combination thereof. And so what I did is, with this list, you'll see I have, for instance, as an example, Oak Lane Flood Protection Levy. That project estimate was around 99,000, and it was funded by GOMESA Construction Fund. So I use the terminology AGO, meaning Assumption Project GOMESA Funds. If it was the Pier Park Ring Levy System, that is as I understand it, a GOMESA bond issue funded project, so that would be AGOB, and so forth and so on. And then I went down the list and assigned numbers to each one. You'll see some that I have ACO, that would stand for capital outlay funded projects. There are some that are a combination, and therefore, if you look at the, for instance, we had some that were being funded by CDBG. So I'm trying to come up with an allocation or a numbering system to break these apart. In addition to that, I am providing you with an estimate as I see it, and some of these estimates were already previously provided. Some of them are new. When you get down to lower on the list, the wards 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9 pump and levee improvements. These were the projects listed all as kind of a lump sum. And you'll see I tried to break them apart in there, and I'll be assigning budgetary numbers to those after I'm able to also get with Mr. Blankenship, because for instance, like the Bayou Lewis pumps, those were monies that were already allocated. And there is a budget set for that already. So I will be getting those budgets and assigning it. Kind of give you an overall scope of what you're looking at. In addition to that, I'm also preparing scopes for each project. Most of them are, all of the top ones that you have up at the top list, I have scopes for. I'll be providing those as well as the detailed estimates that we already have done for that. I don't know if that's going to help you, but I'm trying to help you kind of put some organization to this so that you can decide on a direction, because we did notice some overlapping of funds, if you will, when we started looking at the breakdown. For instance, the Pier Park Ring levy system, after meeting with you, Mr. Bonville, we realized that we had some levy systems like the Gerald Crochet levy and so forth in there that should have been separate projects, if you recall. So that's what I'm doing here, is I listed them as now a separate project with a separate set of funding.
Well, as far as Gerald's levy, project, street levy, I had a survey and everything. Are you progressing with the permits on that?
Yes. Yes, we got the survey. If I remember, they still had a couple of right-of-way issues that they're working out, but I will get with you on that. We'll have to get with Jake with GIS, because that's what we've gotten to do the surveys.
So everything is done, right? Go.
Zon's not finished, no, sir.
Ms. Ponville, I don't think we can take any action on this tonight until we
We're gonna have to meet about this. and
go through the
discuss.
estimates and figure out how these items are gonna be broken up, because we're asking we've approved to go off RFQ for the levy improvements, but we can't separate it from ring levies right now to go off RFQ. I mean, all of those projects were included in that 1.7 million allocation. We'll have to work with Melissa and or Kim to try to figure out how we can.
We're gonna have to pull all the documents that John handled when he did that project, because that was John's projects. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was a part of it. It was John's project. So we're gonna have to pull
No,
and
this was
see
bond money.
what his direction is, what he took and all that thing.
John wasn't involved in this.
Not in this, and John was involved in the $22 million that we previously got. That was federal money just like this. And he had to go out for RFQs and proceed in giving you all some guidance of whether we can split or not split is what I'm talking about, not in determining a scope. John handled that 100%. Y'all remember the slideshows that continued, but he was the one that was instrumental in doing the RFQs from day one. So we're gonna have to pull that documentation and see how he started and report back.
We'll be running out of time.
Absolutely.
So item number 8 will be tabled.
Make sure we go to the proper procurement, David Bacon, all that.
It's gotta be, all of that has to be
That's
followed.
the whole reason why we're trying to split it, because we didn't do that for Attakapaw Landing or Oak Lane levy project.
Yes, sir.
Per Campbell outfall.
It's out for bid
When it's.
on the 28th. Yes, sir.
Motion adjourned.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Nakane,
Second.
second by Mr. Carter. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
5:15, let's get the personnel committee started. All members are present. Maybe have an executive session.
The first item is Paul A. You want to do an executive session or here? Executive session?
Yes, sir.
Motion to go executive session?
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Ponville. All in favor?
Aye.
The thermostat must have been on heat.
No, it was on.
Yeah, and one of
It
the
never works.
executive sessions was had.
Good, we do that on purpose, so y'all don't stay long.
One of the longest ones we've had, and no.
Motion to re-enter regular session.
Motion by Leroy.
Second.
Ooh, it's hot.
Second by Jamie, all in favor? Aye. Right, number 2, discuss continued employment of equipment operator. We're gonna table that one.
No action on number
No
one.
action. Number 1. Table number 2. Number 3, discuss parish manager, assistant parish manager, or R&B internal affairs table. Number 4, request approval to fill permanent clerk position.
Yes, we did conduct interviews and I do have a recommendation. Sorry.
Sorry, you got a name? Yeah, you get it.
Yeah,
She trying to-
Emily. Aikman.
Well, you got it in your phone, the email you said this.
Emily Ackman. We conducted 3 interviews. I don't have the proposal right now. Huh? No, I got those. This is for the current officer. We're gonna have to table it. I'm gonna have to find it. We'll come back to a table it for
All
now.
right, table number 4. Number 5,
Okay, I
request.
just found it. Okay, Emily Ackman, grade 5, step 9. We did interview her with some other individuals and Mr. Diaz was a part of that interview and a very young individual looking for to being close in this parish, to remain here, have a future here, start a family here. So that is our recommendation.
What's the recommendation?
Grade 5, step 9.
Motion by Ms. Fonville.
Second.
Second by Ms. Alcorn, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Number 5, request approval to fill the accounting clerk position.
Okay, that's the one I have right here too. You do have some updated information on that, as I did receive a resignation form today from somebody. The current accountant that we were in the process of cross-check training, so it's unfortunate that she will be leaving us. So with that said, we did have interviews last week as well for the accountant's position. We hit Mr. Alcorn was with us and Mr. Diaz and Ms. Mercedes participated with us. We had some good candidates and I just feel that there were 3 individuals that would be good fits for this parish, but not all at one time right now. First of all, not all at one time because we can't train 2 people at the same time. That's not a fair training to anybody, not to mention that Melissa's also an audit prep and it just can't be done. So I did send an email that if you all would consider and avoid us having to go out for bid, not for bid, for advertisement again in 3 months and then again in another 3 months when Sandy is ready to retire. that there were 3 candidates that we all agreed that we really thought we would like to have on board. I did make those proposals to you in the form of an email for you to consider. So at this time, if you all want to ask any questions, or we can discuss moving forward.
And Kim, I concur with the recommendations again. 2, I was able to make two out of 3. Very good interviews, very good persons, people that I think would be a great fit for our organization, part of our team, and that would have longevity, full of energy, full of zeal, great management and customer service experience. Along with some accounting, so forth. So I like to make a motion that we accept her recommendations on all the above, on all 3 candidates.
That one comment, it just, one start date, March 13th, one of July 1st, other one September 1st, but there's also some time away because anything can happen naturally. But other token, to give the future employee a little time to take care of business to
Well,
come aboard.
and I can explain that timeline if y'all want to know. Obviously, the first individual, the start date would be 2 weeks from today, which is where the March 13th came from. That's the person that has coming to the table with the most nonprofit and grant federal government experience. So that's the person we like to get on board. And the second individual would almost be taking the place of the individual that resigned as of today. Our audit is due June 30th. So my take on that, July 1st, we'd be ready in a better position, hopefully, to take on somebody else for that training. And then the September 1st that date is thinking about Sandy's retirement. That gives us 4 months for Sandy to train someone in her capacity. That's where those dates come from.
That's perfect. I'm good with that. It's just a little time.
I'm just thinking about, what if we have someone that would like to apply and they're just a great candidate and they wouldn't have the chance to apply, if we went this route.
But it just did, and they didn't apply.
What if something happens, they lose their job tomorrow?
Well, if you feel like this is 3 great.
Well, and look, there's no saying that I'm gonna contact these other 2 individuals and they're gonna be willing to wait.
Right, so shouldn't we open it up again?
I'd
That's
say
why we're here
We
at
had
the
some
table.
great candidates. that
That's
applied
why we're
this
here at the
time.
table.
if these were great candidates, why look for another?
That's how we felt.
That's how I felt.
And all 3 of us.
And if one of
felt
them
the same
turned it
about
down, then we can
Go
go
to the
And
next.
also Mercedes.
And Mercedes
on that.
concurred with us as well. We were all 4
Yeah.
on the same page with this.
I got a motion on the
Motion by
floor.
Ron,
Second.
second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
I'm all opposed to that.
Kim,
I would like to open it back up.
so on tomorrow you would offer the first candidate the position?
Yes, and then I would also be in touch with, if she would accept, then I would be in touch with the other 2 to see if they would be willing to, those start dates would work out for them. And if they would not, and then we're back to square one, then we open it back up.
Number 6, request approval to transfer a maintenance employee to the APCC.
All right, gentlemen, I'll put this on the agenda. We have an employee that's been at Sunken Parish Community Center for about 5 months now, temporarily been there. He'd like to transfer to that location, and that would fill a void. Well, it's not a void because he's there already, but it would get me out of a pinch where I wouldn't have to hire somebody already and train him there. He's already there. He's experienced with the facility. And he would transfer to that location, and that would open up the next item on the agenda, which would allow me to promote a young upcoming employee that I can see being here for the next 30 years and give him a position with a little more pay and give him more stability. And that would change the, it would also provide me with another supervisor in the maintenance department, but also, like I said, everybody's on board. Brian agrees with this. They're all on board with this. It's not too often when you get your supervisors and all your employees on board for those types of moves where everybody's in agreement able to help our department. So that's my recommendation.
All right. Any other information, Mike, you need?
So he would stay at the same rate of pay?
Yes, sir. And also, not only is he still would take care of the duties of building catch basins and building driveways. And I know the next question is gonna be is what about outsourcing that? I tried to contact a couple of people. I had some numbers from couple of German today. Both those guys didn't get back with me, but we're working on that again tomorrow. We're gonna try to see if we can outsource some of these catch basins because we're starting to build up a higher number. But this employee is told me he will continue to do catch basins and also driveways. Because I might have him working at the community center 2 to 3 days and also then he come out in the field and these other issues when he's not busy at the community center.
Within the last 5 months, has he been out in the field
Yes.
or he's spent most of this time?
No, well, I'd say 75, 25. But he's been out in the field trying to build catch basins.
And also, he also has other abilities. I mean, he's familiar with the systems here. He's familiar with the pumps. He's familiar with the sewer stations. So in the event we need help and a helping hand, he can also contribute to that.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that's the after hours calls that nobody likes to catch, but
Make sure he's aware of that.
Oh, he is very aware of it. He's never turned me, he's always answered the phone. He's never turned me down for any type of call out. He's aware of that situation.
So I think this would be more for your maintenance supervisor to talk about, but I think if he's responsible for the maintenance at the community center, he doesn't necessarily have to do all the maintenance. If there's another employee that can do some mundane task or something, they can go do that while he's off.
His job is to
it's
manage
already
it.
happening. We help each other with
Yeah, his
that.
job is to manage the maintenance and
And
not
that's what I
continually.
want to make sure that we have the ability to have other lower rate employees do some. of the-
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
Motion to approve the transfer of maintenance employee to APCC.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Leroy, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, request approval to promote a maintenance employee to maintenance supervisor and approve a salary increase.
That's it. Brian gave you all the sheet right in front of y'all. That's Mr. Aaron Landers. He's been with the parish for almost 2 years now. He's also in charge of our animal control. And since we had lost our other animal control officer, he's handled all of these things by himself. No issue. Whenever I call him, no questions asked, perfect employee. And like I said, he's young. And for me to keep these younger employees, because we always get older employees that are looking to come here and after they retire. So we never get this type of thing right here. But he's willing to stay here and come for this job and we'll stay here 30 years. That's my, that's what
And
I'm.
it helps us a lot in animal control because he's past law enforcement, so he knows all the
So
rules
he
and
had a dog back the
regulations.
truck yesterday. He got
Oh,
it
yeah.
all out. Yeah.
Yep.
I make a motion to propose grade 7, step 10.
Well, he's at,
No,
that's
wait,
where he is.
that would be after 6-month probationary
Oh,
period.
I'm sorry, you're right, okay. At completion of probation.
Yeah, you come back.
That's correct.
So the proposed grade is now is 7, step 10.
Yes, sir.
1939.
Motion by Jeff, second by Jamie, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, table. Number 9, request approval to include FMCSA clearinghouse query consent form in the personnel manual.
That is part of our, we want to start implementing random drug screening. Well, the federal government's telling us that if we do this, all CDL drivers will be responsible to be entered into this clearinghouse query system. So we really have no choice. It's a liability issue. These lawyers will see that if one of our drivers gets in an accident, they want to know if we're part of this federal clearinghouse system. So for this company to come in and do this random drug screening for all in parish employees, we have to have this in our personnel manual state that all our CDL employees have to participate in this clearinghouse system, which is a database of all CDL drivers across the United States.
Yeah. All right. Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Nakam, all in favor? Any opposed?
Motion adjourned.
Passed. Motion by Jeff to adjourn. Second by Leroy, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion adjourned, meeting adjourned.
Now 6:12, we'll now start the federal programs committee meeting. Let the record reflect that all members are present. First, we have got request approval for the special programs directed to apply for the emergency food and shelter funding in amount of $10,253. Motion by Mr. Docking, second by.
That was not me.
Second.
I'm motion.
Leroy, motion motion by Mr. Blanchard, second by Mr. Alcon. All in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. Next, we have discussed the wishes of the jury in moving forward with the Section 8 program. And Kim had gotten some folks with some interest. I think there were 3 in the past that you had. You want to comment upon it?
Well, we talked about this last year and we had some time, but time is running short. By September 1st. We need to have somebody in place. So that means they need to get with Roberto Macedo and Associates a little bit in advance. But we have 3 agencies that reached out that expressed some interest. So I think we need to maybe get those agencies together to see if they can submit us a proposal or something. We need to start moving on that. It's time.
Definitely.
So Kim,
Just a request for quotes or them quotes. But
I'll start by reaching out to them to make sure they are still interested, and then I can ask them if they would like to submit a proposal as to what they would, how they would,
Services they provide.
yeah, that kind of thing. If that would be okay with y'all.
Mike, is that considered as a professional service?
For the program?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the one run by?
Robert, the elderly gentleman.
I guess it would. It depends on what we get back in return. He's been doing it, I think, for a long time. So I would like to see what's developed first before I give you a definitive answer on that.
Yeah. So I guess we can just start and see if they're interested in submitting us a proposal.
and referrals, please. References.
Okay.
Request approval for Secretary Treasurer to reach out to agencies that are interested in interested in our Section 8 program.
there's a motion by Mr. Alcon. Second by Mr. Palmby. All in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. We also have one deviation that's before you. It's relative to the federal program for farmer.
Motion deviate.
Motion to deviate. Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Alcon. All in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. Yes, it's basically it's a grant from the Bayou Community Foundation, whereas the special programs director can apply for it. The deadline is by March 1st, and she can get up to $5,000. It probably would be in the neighborhood of $2,500, but if you get the whole 5, why not go for it? And as you can see, the grant would be awarded to programs that address critical community needs in the categories of human services, education, workforce development, etc. So, we'll get a motion on that. Motion by Mr. Como,
Second.
second by Mr. Blanchard. All in favor? Public comment. Oh, very good.
Public comment. Public
Yeah,
comment.
so we have public comments on this matter. Public comments. Comments going once, twice, 3 times. Let the record reflect there isn't any public comment.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Motion adjourned by Mr. Blanchard. Second. Second by Mr. Palmby. All in favor? Any nays? Any adjourned.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with the engineering grants committee meeting. All members are present. Update from the grants coordinator.
Hello, good afternoon. I'd like to give an update on the grants list that I've been working on. Things to note. For the energy efficiency grant, they'll be starting their installation of the LED lights and the LSU Ag Center tomorrow. Moreover, our census data forms were not accepted in our CDBG application. And they're requiring a household survey of the target areas, which I will be completing tomorrow. In addition to, we submitted 2 applications for the CDBG. However, unfortunately, they're only going to accept 1 and only fund 1 of our applications. And I spoke to Mr. Joseph about this, and we recommend that we go forth with the Bell Rose Lane application, as this target area has a greater need and will have a greater impact. And our application for Lewis Lane should have no problem finding alternative funding sources. But I just want to present that for the jury to decide, should we go for Bell Rose Lane or Lewis Lane for our CDBG application?
What was the 2 projects?
Point
One was street and drainage improvements in the Belrose, along Belrose Lane, and the other was street and drainage improvements along Lewis Lane in Labadee.
Which one flows the worst?
I would say Leroy.
Yeah, he got it.
It's our recommendation that you move forward with the Belrose Lane.
We don't have a problem. Can we move forward?
Belrose Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belrose Lane, top road.
Highway what, 991?
98.
Well, no, it's the parish.
It's the
board.
back one past the track, Tigerville. Yeah, Tigerville.
Okay, do we need to discuss about the administration on this grant? Because it appears that the application was submitted saying the South Central Planning was involved on the application, which would prohibit them from administering this grant. We have not administered a CDBG grant in-house before. Leonard has spoken to them today, and he's trying to see if they can allow for an amendment on that application, which would remove South Central Planning from that involvement, which then would allow them to administer the grant if we go out.
Well, that's the only way it can happen. We can't do it in-house.
Well, I understand that, but that needs to be discussed, because if they say, no, you can't change and amend your submission, then all of this discussion is for nothing.
Well, we gotta do that. Oh,
No, they have to amend, they have to remove South Central Planning. If they don't remove South Central Planning, then South Central Planning can't administer the grant for us. So then they're gonna pay us $31,000 to administer the grant. We're gonna still have to go out for bids to find some other entity to administer this grant for us.
Was the 31,000 just for the Belrose Lane project, or is that for both?
Yes, sir, for Belrose Lane.
It can't be administered in-house.
So was this a misunderstanding, or did South Central Planning, I thought y'all two were involved in getting the.
Yes, sir, it was a
grant application.
misunderstanding. It was mainly me and Mr. Joseph who were preparing the application.
We prepared the application. I don't know, I don't know where South Central Planning's involvement came in. Other than, I think they were inadvertently marked as an administrator on the application. Other than that, I don't know what their current involvement is.
there was never contact,
No,
So
but it's on the app.
it's just on the, yeah, it's a mark on the
So just off
application.
and out.
Correct.
You have a contact that you can get with to see if we can modify that application? Put
Yes,
in a
sir, I
request to
spoke with
modify?
them today. And I'm just waiting for them to get back to their supervisor.
But I wouldn't suggest holding up the survey, the house survey. Go ahead and proceed with that.
Right, yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the one doing the survey instead of South Central Planning, so they can still be in the clear to administer it.
And just follow up again tomorrow on
Yeah,
the revision.
keep your foot on the gas on that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next item is update on drainage master plan by GIS engineer.
Table.
Request a letter of no objection to install structures to drill the Dugal-LeBlanc Company Ltd well.
Any objection, Joseph?
No,
I'll
it's
look at
it's
it.
an existing pad.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Jeff, second by Jamie, all in favor? Opposed? Receive update on the cost to repair the airboat.
All right, so we received a quote from Ronnie's Airboats Unlimited. Their quote states that to repair this boat is gonna cost $6,179.60. Now, bear in mind that this airboat was purchased in 2016 at a cost of $66,790. Current depreciated cost is $31,725.34.
I've never had no maintenance done besides. this.
I don't see any records of anything being done. Now, that's to make repairs and service the engine.
Yeah, funding is a problem.
OEP is funded through general fund.
Well, I think that would come out of special industry fund.
If it would
Special
have it,
industry fund.
if it has it,
If it has,
if it has it, that fund was depleted when that building in the back was built.
motion to go with any funds that we have left in the special industry fund. They don't have go in the general fund,
What fund?
general. I mean, all come out of there.
Second that.
Motion by Jeff, second by Jamie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
But just that, when you get that boat back, man, do we gonna run that thing, Paul, and periodically? You know,
Need
we
to.
can let that set
Yeah,
up.
It's not gonna sit.
We've been talking about that.
We've been talking with Paul and Brian
Okay.
about that.
And other equipment too, I would say.
Oh, absolutely,
You know, a lot of stuff we don't use till emergency, but.
absolutely. No, we've been talking about that.
The blades all needed to be changed?
They have a crack on the ends.
Oh,
So what happened was, it's suspected the exhaust popped off and one blade hit and it fragmented on the side. They made a temporary repair, was not appropriate. But it comes as a balanced set. So when you change one, you gotta change all and it has to be perfectly balanced. So that's why it's happening.
Next item, request approval to apply for the raised grant for Bayou Crab Road.
Yeah, I put this on there. Joseph has all the stuff ready for it.
Yes, we had done project descriptions, estimating and cost February of last year for capital outlay. So we're just going to take those costs, update them tomorrow, if you will provide, and then I'll provide that information to Leonard so that he can add that to the raised grant.
Because it's a shovel-ready project, basically.
Okay, so the motion is made by Michael.
Wasn't that already included in the projects that we approved for
No,
raised
it
grants?
wasn't. It was just the bridges,
Just the bridges.
just
at
the
time.
bridges. Yeah, no, he wasn't on there.
It's currently under the capital outlay list. And
So
that's
we
one,
could-
and that's one of the reasons we have the information quickly, is because we already provided a lot of the information that's required on the raise to them.
Are we still applying for the other grants also? Or we?
As far as the bridges?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is gonna be
This is
added.
just add good.
I know you had mentioned talking to Mr. Nunez about seeing if we combine them as one or. submit
I haven't heard
separate.
anything back. No, that was for the transportation initiative one, not for the raise.
Second Mike's motion.
Yeah, I got it. You second?
Motion second by Jeff, all in favor? Opposed?
Leonard, are you gonna have time to be able to submit all these applications?
I'll do my best. Yes, ma'am.
Raised grant is next Tuesday.
Next item, request update on TAP grant.
Reputation alternative program.
Yes, sir. Transportation Alternatives Grant. I spoke to Mr. Joseph earlier today. He mentioned how he's about ready to send me all the cost estimates and project descriptions that I need for this. Apart from that, I'm still working on the application as well. The application deadline is March 30th, so it's coming up.
And just to get you updated, we've completed all of the mapping as well as the measurements to get the linear footages and so forth in the different areas. For the sidewalks, I'm now just trying to finalize those estimates based on the field data that we got. Once I have that done, we'll be able to turn that over to Mr. Leonard.
How soon can you get that over to him?
Probably gonna be into next week.
Hey, Mr. Chair, can we take a step back to the raised grant applications? What's the percentage of where we are with those, with the information for all the bridges? Are you about at least 85% completed with those applications?
Yeah, I still have a good bit to go with the bridges, still waiting on some information.
I told you, make sure you get with Mr. Joseph. Mr. Paul is very knowledgeable of those bridges. He used to maintain all those bridges and working with DOTD, a couple of years ago. So
Yes,
he
sir.
has the institutional knowledge. He has all the numbers and information and linear footage and whatever they need. But it should be an easy piece to put together.
I've actually emailed him all the state bridge reports from the last 4 years on all 4 of those bridges. It's detailed information. He's got all that, so.
Okay, good deal. All right, thank you,
What
Mr.
else are
Chair.
you waiting for?
Just the cost estimates
He
and
needs the finalized estimates, which I've gone over. I've gotten the one for the lip bridge. I've also completed the one for our Aristeel Road repairs, and we have one done for the Coon Road Bridge. So I just got to find out those numbers. Those I will have done by tomorrow. finished.
Where we at on that Bible Bridge?
By Buff Bridge, as that's when you and I had met with last week and went and looked at. I've got to put together a new estimate for that one as per our discussion. We had preliminary estimates of around $250,000, if you recall, for sheet pilot down both sides. I'm now looking at just installing the 2 culverts and bringing in fill material and then covering with riprap. The riprap, we have enough here on Parish, so I'm just adjusting that estimate.
Yes, sir. He did. I told him he had to readjust the scope. He's right.
Yeah,
And then
because one person using that
I understand
bridge, I
your point.
can't see.
Sheet piling, yes,
that
sir, I
much,
understand.
We can always go back and put some more bulk.
Some more sheets, some more riprap, yes, sir.
You part of that, right? You're in that RISE grant, I mean, a raise grant application too, right? Well,
Yeah,
you
but
are,
this is, yeah, but that, it depends on the timetable on that, Ron. This is an immediate repair that we need to get.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
okay.
this is an emergency.
This is an emergency. We,
All right.
Would
Okay.
a Washington Bridge qualify? Right there?
A Wasky Bridge would qualify for that. Problem is, a Wasky Bridge for that size and width is gonna be in excess by the time you have to, the big cost he has is removing the old deck and removing the old bridge.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is request approval to apply for TAP grant for pedestrian, bicycle and sidewalks in Ward 4.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Jeff, second by Leroy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request approval to apply for TAP grant for the pedestrian, bicycle and sidewalk for Ward 6.
So move.
Same thing.
Second.
Jeff, second by Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn by Michael, second by Jamie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We'll call to order the regular 6 o'clock meeting. Let the record reflect all members are present. We'll have the prayer led by Mr. Johnson and the pledge led by Mr. Diaz.
God who teaches us by sending the light of his Holy Spirit into our hearts, grant that by the light of that spirit, right judgment may be ours, and that we may forever find joy in his guidance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes, January 25th, 2023 and February 8th, 2023. Motion by Mr. Alcorn, second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment period. At this time, we'll have any public comment on any item on the agenda. First call, second call, last call. Let the record reflect, no public comment. Drainage Committee report. Mr. Pineville?
The Drainage Committee meeting was held this afternoon at 4:35. All members were present. We discussed the repairs of the drainage pumps purchased by the hazardous mitigation funds. And Assistant Parish Manager will get a cost estimate on the replacement of all of them. Present that to you in form of motion.
Motion by Mr. Pineville,
Second.
second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Just to add a comment to that, I had got some clarification from the auditors while y'all were in executive session. And she says we need to look at that project list and we need to bid out based on the scope. Identify the similar scope, and those projects can't be separated. In other words, if you have an overlay project, that has to be all overlay projects or street improvement projects must be bid out together, and all levy and drainage improvement projects must be bid out together. So it needs to be based on scope.
That makes sense.
We'll have that, we'll still have that item table. We'll address
Yeah,
that.
and Joseph and I went through his list and my list here, and we're trying to identify certain projects. So we're gonna kind of work on that as well for the next.
Finance Committee met at 4:54 today. All members were present. First item on the agenda was review approval to pay bills submitted through February 17th, 2023. We reviewed the budget comparison statements for major funds for January 2023. We approved and authorized the Council on Aging to accept the highest bidder for vehicles that have exceeded their life expectancy. We approved adding supplemental pay for ADA LEB Talbot in replacement of Morgan Savoy Gravois of her resignation effective February 23rd, 23. We tabled the fuel surcharge adjustment with Waste Depot. We tabled the approval of the contract renewal with Direct Parts and Service for APCC chiller maintenance due to insurance requirements.
I received the form, but I guess we have to wait. Just a few minutes.
We'll let the office approve it and we'll put it on the next agenda. We discussed the match funds for the water sector grant, and we tabled the modifications to the allocations regarding Gomesa funds. Present this all in form of a motion. Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel Committee, Mr. Diaz.
Personnel Committee met, all members were present. Number one, discuss evaluation process, no action was taken. Number 2 and 3 were tabled. We approved to fill the permanent clerk position with Miss Emily Ackman, grade 5, step 8.
No.
Step 9. We approved to fill the accounting clerk position. 6, we approved to transfer a maintenance employee to the Assumption Parish Community Center. 7, we approved to promote a maintenance employee to maintenance supervisor to grade 7, step 10. Number 8 was tabled, and we approved to include FMCSA clearinghouse query consent form in the personnel manual. I present all this in form of a motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Diaz, second by Mr. Pineville. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Federal Programs Committee, Mr. Johnson.
Programs Committee met at 5:35 PM this afternoon. All members were present. First, we had was the approval of the special programs directed to apply for the emergency food and shelter funding in the amount of $10,253. We also had, we discussed the wishes of the police jury as pertains to moving forward with the Section 8 program. And we have approved for the Secretary Treasurer to speak to the three interested companies, to give them some specificity pertaining to that, see if they're interested and to move forward on that rather than to delay on it. We also, you had in before you were, we also had the federal programs director. We're going to allow for her to apply for the Bayou Community Grant in the amount of $5,000. All of the above are presented to you in the form of a motion.
Motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Engineering Grants Committee, Mr. Como.
Engineering Grant Committee met this afternoon. All members were present, was given an update from the grant coordinator. We approved the letter of no objection to install structures to drill Dugan LeBlanc LTD well. We approved an update on the cost and repair to the airboat. We approved to apply for the raised grant for Bayou Crab Road. We approved to apply for TAP grant for pedestrian bicycle sidewalk for Ward 4. And we approved the TAP grant for pedestrian bicycles and sidewalks for Ward 6. That's all in the form of a motion.
Motion by Mr. Como with the note that item 2 was tabled. There's a second. Second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is request approval of CEA between Louisiana Opioid Abatement Administration Corporation and APPJ, the opioid litigation memorandum of understanding, and authorize the president to sign.
Yes, if you all recall, we did join in the litigation for the opioid abatement administration program. And this is the CEA that now they want us to sign. They have created a task force, which is going to be instrumental in distributing the actual funds to the parishes and moving forward. The ADA did look at the agreement and we do recommend approval.
Motion by Mr. Diaz. Second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of COA agreement between DOTD and Assumption Parish Police Jury for the purpose of providing public transportation assistance program for the non-urbanized areas of the parish. Motion by Mr. Nakam.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pineville. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of proclamation proclaiming March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
Motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Carter,
Second.
second by Mr. Como. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval for a letter of support for the CDC High Obesity Program. We have Ms. Maria Gonzalez with the LSU Ag Center to talk to us about this.
I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Maria Gonzalez. I work with the LSU Ag Center here in Assumption Parish as our Healthy Communities Agent. I spoke with you not that long ago, and we're still moving forward with our work, but we are in our 5th and final year of our grant cycle. And so the LSU Ag Center is applying again at the state level for this federal funding. And if funded, Assumption Parish would be included in the parishes identified as having high obesity again. So just to give you an idea, in our last grant cycle, 6 parishes were identified. In this new grant cycle, there were actually 35 parishes identified. And so what that means for us is that it'll become a little more competitive. It'll be a little more spread thin, but the Ag Center is only choosing to work with 12 to 14 parishes because they have a huge focus on rural areas. So we will still be included in that. I'm just here to ask for a letter of support stating the work that we've already done here in Assumption Parish. Just to remind you, I've already secured over $92,000 worth of funding for the work that we've done so far. And my most recent work includes 2 proposals that will be written for the Park and Belrose, as well as the Murray Park. And those 2 proposals combined can be anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000. So it just kind of depends what our funder sees fit for what the needs are of this area. And so I am working on that. And I have a March 1st deadline. So I'm waiting to hear back from Dr. Mary Beth Lima. She is a professor at LSU, and she came down with her biological engineering students to look at the 2 locations that we're writing proposals for. And the students are actually building playground plans based on what they looked at the Murray Park. They got to meet with Libertyville Middle School students. It was a wonderful experience. So I'm eager to see what they put together, and I will absolutely, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Blanchard, turn that over to you before I include it in the proposal to make sure it's something that you even want in your ward. So.
They don't want it, we'll take it in Ward 6.
Motion for support letter.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn, second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor? Opposed?
Thanks so much.
Motion carried. Thank you. Request approval of a can shake permit for VFW Post 4222, May 20th, 23. The American Legion Larry Domain Post 338 on March 25th of 23. Motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Ponville. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of occupational license for Sunny Days, Pierreport, and Magnolia Capital Funding LLC, Libertyville. Motion by Mr. Nakhan. Second by Mr. Carter. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of first phase of derelict structure procedure for dwelling located at 201 Elaine Street in the Bayou Lewis Community, Ward 3.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Como. Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of first phase of derelict structure procedure for dwelling located at 191 Elaine Street in the Bayou Lewis Community. Motion by Mr. Como. Second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. And a motion to adjourn?
No, deviation, one deviation, please, one deviation, very important. I'd like to request to send a resolution to the Secretary of State to suspend the millage renewal elections for Ward 2 Drainage District.
All right, so I need have a motion to deviate from Mr. Alcorn. Second by Ms. Ponville. All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Yeah, the deviation is to suspend. I think the elections are in April time. Yeah. They want us to suspend the elections and have those elections picked up with the gubernatorial elections, with meeting with the Register of Voters office and also the assessor's office. We're looking at some discrepancies as it pertains to the Ward District 2 boundaries, the maps, the language. So we need to get it right. So we want to suspend the elections, and we're going to do some homework, get some surveys out there and bring it back and make sure we get it right, to make sure the right people are included, the right people are being taxed, so forth, so on. So That's where we are with that.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Alcorn to suspend the renewal election, second by Mr. Nakam. Any public comment? First call, second call, last call. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Nakam, second by Mr. Como. All in favor? Opposed? Adjourned.
I'm sorry. I don't know how this works, but I'm from South Central. We were here to possibly get the proclamation for the problem gambling awareness month, but I wasn't sure how this works. That's why I just sat here. Am I gonna get something today, or y'all send it to the office, or
We
what
can send it
happens?
to the office. I
Can I at least get a copy of the agenda so that I can show that I was here and it was on the agenda? Did anyone have any questions or anything? Yeah, about problem gambling or anything? Okay.
I'm a client of Miss Rebecca Davis. I'm Tammy Falcon, lifelong resident of Assumption Parish. I am a problem gambler. I've been off the bet 7 years and a few months. But when I first got into the program, my gambling was out of control and I needed direction and I needed a place to go. So I ended up going to a psychiatrist because only crazy people steal from their children. And I did that to finance my gambling. And I went to a psychiatrist and he laid me on a couch and all this good thing and started asking me questions. And he was the only one that told me, baby, you don't need me. You need a gambling counselor. So I was sent to St. Mary Parish first. And then I started treatment. I'd go to one-on-one counseling with Miss Rebecca on Monday nights. And then on Wednesday nights, I go to group counseling in Terrebonne Parish. So this program really saved my life because I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't available. I just thank y'all for giving me this time, but it saved my life.
We thank you, Ms. Falcon, for bringing your testimony to us, and we will continue to support this
Can
program.
I leave some of these with y'all?
Absolutely.
So you want us just to follow the proclamation to South Central Planning? That'd be great.
South Central Louisiana Human Service Authority. We're not South Central Planning. Ours is a little longer, but I think whoever Janet Price has spoken to here, they have her email and stuff, you know, we just, this is the first one I've been to, so I wasn't sure how it worked, and I'm going, when they said a while ago, I'm going, am I supposed to stand up or say something? What am I supposed to do, you know? So it sounded like y'all were ending, and I'm going, okay, we need to say something. So thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all allowing us to come. Thank you.
Yeah, we did.